So let's take this question. This is a CAT 2018 question, and the question says that there are four sentences given to us, and we have to arrange them to form a coherent paragraph, right? So we must look for a sentence that is likely to open the paragraph. For instance, if you look at sentence one, it says it was his taxpayers. So the problem is the pronoun his is not finding any reference if we open the paragraph with the word his. So there must be some kind of reference for this pronoun, and as a result of that, I would not like to start with sentence one as the opening sentence of the paragraph. In fact, if you look at the word his, it is likely to refer to a human being, and that person can be the Australian minister, because in statement 2 you don't have any human entity. It says companies in many countries routinely engage in such activities, which means that the employees are left with unpaid entitlements. So the whole idea is, what is this such activities all about? So even 2 does not have any proper reference for the pronoun such. And then when you go to 3, it says deliberate and systematic liquidation of a company to avoid liabilities and then restarting the business is called phoenixing. So out of all the statements, 3 looks a very good choice. Why? Because it is defining something. It has that introductory tone to it, right? So if you go to 4, it says here the Australian Minister for Revenue and Services discovered in an audit that phoenixing had cost the Australian economy between 2.9 billion and 5.1 billion last year. So this also might open the paragraph, but before you talk about phoenixing in statement 4, you must explain what phoenixing is all about. So is called phoenixing here is defined by statement 3. I mean, the phoenixing idea is introduced and explained by statement 3. So I will open the para with statement 3. Deliberate and systematic liquidation of a company to avoid liabilities and then restarting the business is called phoenixing. And then such activities is basically referring to what? Deliberate, systematic liquidation of a company. So these are the such activities which the author is referring to. So 3-2 is likely to form a pair. Why? Because deliberate and systematic liquidation of a company to avoid liabilities is called phoenixing, and companies in many countries routinely engage in such activities, which means that the employees are left with unpaid entitlements. The Australian Minister for Revenue and Services discovered in an audit that phoenixing had cost the Australian economy between these and these billion last year. Now, the whole idea is, how come the cost be borne by the country? Now, you must understand that when the companies they get into systematic liquidation, the employees are left with unpaid entitlements. Now, who take care of this unpaid entitlement? The government has to take care of that, and that is where the example of the Australian minister makes sense, because the Australian Minister for Revenue and Services discovered in an audit that phoenixing had cost the Australian economy so and so $1 billion last year. It was his taxpayers who had to shell out as much as this money to employees of failed companies. So this is how it goes. Statement 3 explains what is phoenixing, and statement 2 says companies in many countries do this, and the employees are left with unpaid entitlements, and this unpaid entitlements is borne by the government, and this statement 4 is basically explaining what is there in 2. They are left with unpaid entitlements. The Australian Minister for Revenue and Services discovered in an audit that phoenixing had cost the Australian economy between these and these. Now, why it had cost? Because the employees were left with unpaid entitlements. So before 4, you must have 2, and with 1 in the end, because his taxpayers refers to what? The Australian Minister. The Australian minister says that he discovered something, and it was his taxpayers, in a sense that the Prime Minister might call the people as his people, right? Similarly, the minister is calling the citizens as his taxpayers. Are you getting my point? So his taxpayers had to shell out this. Why? Because ultimately the government has to bear it, and the government is not bearing from its own pocket. It is taking the money out from the taxpayers' pocket and shelling it out to whom? To the employees with unpaid entitlements of the companies who had deliberately liquidated their organization. So 3 to 4 is the logical sense, the right sequence.